back to Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British website full of your news, reviews and exclusive interviews. We cover it all, from the big budget to the low budget to the no budget, with a special keen interest on the lower end of the scale. It's where our heart lives, it's where our heart lies. But this is not necessarily a nerdly episode. As you guys know, we have hooked up with the Romford Film Festival. We covered the horror festival, and the main festival is going on this weekend. Or, well, this will probably go out after the weekend, so the festival will kind of be finished. So this is one of the Romford Sessions episodes, and we are going back to the horror festival to talk about New Woman with director Benjamin Noah and his lead actress Rhiannon Morgan, an actress that I couldn't help but gush over last year when we talked about this movie, because we showed it at the main festival last year, we're showing it at the horror festival this year. Just a fantastic performance, really, really good shot, doing the rounds, everyone's loving it, and understandably so. So we're going to get into that now in a minute, but first of all, I'm going to ask you to do all of those wonderful, amazing things that all those other YouTubers that are way better than me do on a regular basis. And I'm going to ask you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that bell, because the bell is a notification bell and it will tell you whenever we drop an episode. So whether it is one of these Romford Session interviews or one of my sparkly awesome reviews, which, by the way, there are quite a few coming out. And with that, I must bring up the elephant in the room. I'm completely by myself. I have no other members of the panel. It is just me tonight, flying solo. So you're going to get all of the great Halden Nerdly Pod goodness. I was really looking forward to speaking to Benjamin again. I spoke to him last year for the festival, and it was great to have him back. And as I just said a minute ago, having Rhiannon on as well was unbelievably just fantastic. I got a chance to let the woman know how great I thought her performance was and how I'm going to be looking out for her going forward. I'm really can't wait to see what this woman does. I just want to make a quick little mention, because Mr. Phil Wheat, the commissioner, the commander-in-chief, or the head honcho over at Nerdly, sent me these awesome posters. Justice League posters, Snyder Cut. It did exist. They said it didn't. It did, and it was awesome. So yeah, thank you, Phil, for that. The studio is going to look baller as hell with Justice League posters up there. Anyway, we're going to get into this. We're going to get into the episode. We are talking to Benjamin Noah, the director of New Woman, and his lead actress Rhiannon Morgan, which showed at the HORRHIFFIC Festival earlier this month, and we showed it last year at the main festival, the Romford Film Festival. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend with all the movies. There's like 200 movies we were showing. We had short movies, features, documentaries, and premieres, all stuff being shown. And from everything I've seen on Facebook, it was a fantastic weekend. I'm gonna have to get myself down next year. Do my thing down there. That would be pretty cool. Take the studio with me. That would be even more cool. So yeah, guys, interview in progress.
I never met anyone who's been so far.
I have the returning Benjamin Noah, the director of a short movie New Woman that I got to see at the Romford Film Festival last year. It's an incredible short, and we showed it again for the horror festival, the inaugural horror festival. But this time he's brought along leading lady actress Rhiannon Morgan from the short as well. So I'm really excited to talk about her. So how are you guys doing?
We're great here. I can speak for myself. It's so nice to see you too, Ben, because we haven't seen each other in ages. But yeah, no, things are great in Newfoundland, and I've been keeping busy. Ben, I imagine you have too, as always.
Yeah, really busy. We had to push our next films till next summer because there's like 4 TV shows and like 4 features going on. So it's busier film-wise than it's ever been in Newfoundland. And yeah, we stay in touch via text and calls, Rhiannon, but it's time for a beer to chat about some new projects.
Oh, wholeheartedly. I'm ready.
I mean, you guys are clearly magic together with the partnership that you had on New Woman. So I'd love to see what you guys come up with next. But you mentioned that last time about the scene over there is getting bigger and better. That's great to hear, because before that you said you had the TV show The Frontier and Braven and everything was going on over there. So how is the hubbub getting now that people are sort of returning back to semi-normal on film sets?
I think, yeah, things are just crazy busy. The only difference is now I got to wear a mask for 16 hours a day, right?
Yeah.
And when I'm working a camera and you're lifting a lot of gear, that can be a bit of a pain. But I think eventually that will slow down a bit. But yeah, I mean, when I started in all this, like Republic of Doyle days, and Rhiannon, I believe you did a couple of roles on that, right?
Yeah, I had a role on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. You know, there wasn't really a big industry here, and that was kind of the beginning of it. And to see how far it's come since I started 8 or 9 years ago to where it is now is absolutely wild. So we're very fortunate to be here right now.
Well, I mean, Jason Momoa will do that for you.
Yeah, he was a good hand to work with and party with as well.
Oh, I bet. I've got him sat right here in the cave. That's my Aquaman right there.
Cool.
He's always got to be there. He's always got to be there. But no, it's fantastic to have you guys on today to talk about New Woman, especially yourself, Rhiannon, because I don't know if you watched the last thing that I did with Ben, but I kind of gushed over your performance a little bit, and I will be doing that a little bit more today because we showed the film at the inaugural horror festival, and people loved it. It really took off again, as we knew it would. I mean, this movie is getting a hell of a lot of love whenever you guys show it, wherever it goes. So it's always good to get back onto you and speak to you guys about it. So why don't one of you, I think, Ben, you did it last time, so Rhiannon, do you want to have a crack at this? Why don't you, for people who haven't seen New Woman, give them the synopsis of the movie and what New Woman is about and the character you play?
Okay, absolutely. Well, I guess I would call it, and Ben, jump in anytime, sort of a gothic horror. It revolves around 2 characters. I play the woman, and we have Steve Oates as well. And it's sort of just following the dynamic between the 2 of them. They initially meet as he approaches her as a pickpocket. And I don't want to give anything away, of course, but she invites him to her residence for dinner. And it sort of just beautifully follows and captures their dynamic. And it's always very wrought with stress and sort of anticipation as to what will happen. I guess I shouldn't say what does, but, you know, it's just sort of follows these 2. And it's very, you know, for me as that woman, you know, if I say that, you know, I've, because of the attention this movie is getting, and, you know, a lot of people haven't seen it and it comes up, and it's a horror, of course. And usually the assumption is that, you know, I play, you know, a victim or an eventual victim, but to be able to play sort of that woman who carries that power, sort of a transcendent, otherworldly woman, and was really something special for me. But yeah, if you want to finish it off, Ben, you're welcome to.
I think you said that beautifully.
Thank you.
You know, when I made the movie, it was only if Rhiannon was going to play that part, because she encapsulated all those fantastic qualities that character has. You know, and she played it beautifully, and that's why she won the award, obviously. And I think you know, it's the major reason why the movie has gone so far, because it's a pretty rich character for a short film, and Rhiannon kind of brought across so much. Even when, you know, there wasn't any dialogue. I'm a person who likes films where there's minimal dialogue. I don't like spelling it all out. So Rhiannon was able to tell, you know, a million stories with her eyes and her expressions and mannerisms. So that's the big reason why it all worked out.
And because of the direction, of course. I mean, Ben, he and I were talking about this film so long. You know, we shot it in 2018, but we were communicating about it forever, it seems. Like, this movie has been part of my life, a close part of my life for years, honestly, and it's still continuing. But yeah, like that, I became very attached to it, you know, before we even got into shooting it. So I'm sure that that was a big part of that. And of course, Ben's vision.
Quickly on that, Rhiannon, because
Yeah.
this is one of the reasons that I am so happy to have you on today, because when we showed at the first festival, and again when we showed at the new festival, the horror festival, one thing that kept coming up with New Women was your performance. It's just you bring this old school, and I think I said it to Ben last time, like you bring this really sort of old school traditional Hollywood leading lady to the movie, and the sense of the grandeur and the understated power that this woman has, that you don't necessarily see to start off with, because again, there's not a lot of dialogue. You're kind of doing everything with your face, and I said that to Ben. It was kind of like you are able to say everything without ever saying anything, which is just fantastic, and that's what I loved about your performance. It's why the guys all raved about it when we sat and did the judging and everything. But I did want to kind of ask a little bit about your background and how you kind of got into the acting game, and how this movie came around for you.
Well, I mean, I truly attribute this film to, at the time when Ben approached me, I had just had a baby, and, you know, I had done some projects before, but really wasn't acting at the time. And I was reluctant, you know, at first, but because of the project and because of, you know, what he wanted to do with it and the script and everything, we eventually agreed to do it together. But since that film, now you know, it got me so passionate again about acting and about working, and now I feel like I could call myself an actor after all this time. But this was the film that did it and brought me right back, and it reignited everything for me, because it had been so long since I've did a project when Ben approached me about it. Yeah, so it holds a very special place in my heart anyway.
But what was it about this character that made you go, yeah, I'm absolutely doing this? Was it just the case that it was Ben that was coming to you, or did you sort of read the character and think, no, there's no way anybody else is playing this?
Well, yeah, I mean, eventually it got to that. And as you were saying, that character allows for so much interpretation and subtlety, and, you know, to approach a character like that would prove a challenge, of course. And everything that she stands for and, you know, represents in that film was very appealing to me as well. And the way Ben spoke about it, honestly, because, you know, there was the script, which, as you both have mentioned, it's so minimal of dialogue, but just the end goal and the way it was described, and, you know, the time period, there was just so many elements to that decision. Like, it was impossible to not do it, really. And yeah, I thank you for all of those kind words, and I'm glad that it came across.
It definitely does. It definitely does. And as Ben's already mentioned, and I've mentioned before as well, like, the cinematography on this short is just beautiful as well. So you are contending with quite a lot as an actress as well, because you don't have a great deal of dialogue, so you need to show who you are and what you can be and who this character is, but you're kind of fighting against beautifully framed shots that in lesser hands might have distracted from the performances, you know. So you are really having to own that screen, and again, props to you absolutely did it.
Thank you. There's so many elements, I guess, and so many people involved. I mean, and Ben is so, you know, his vision is exquisite, but also so specific. And the way it was shot, I mean, everybody that worked on that film was on the same page. And I feel that, like, understanding the sort of the aesthetic really helped, you know, together. You have the camera work and, you know, everything, props, everything was amazing on that. Like, sort of big, for a short film, it felt like everything was so grand and thought out and implicated Yeah, it was extraordinary.
And speaking to you right now, sounds pretty weird. I mentioned this when you first came into the
Oh,
room because your voice in the movie is very, very different. Where did you guys? Because I'm assuming you would have worked on this together, created the character together. Where did this voice and this accent come from?
Well, I can let Ben speak to it. I was fortunate enough. I mean, accents are a scary thing for, it's something you never, and I don't know that I entirely nailed it either, but it's something you don't want to mess up or fail miserably with. But Ben had a friend who so generously worked with me and communicated with me, and yeah, she was a giant help. But you, Ben, if you wanted to say who, a little information about her or anything, but that was sort of my main source for working on that voice and accent. And
yeah, we had a very idea of the character, where that character came from. It's hard to talk about it because you're giving away kind of the history of the character. But I met a lovely woman named Brigitte on a farm in Portugal, and she was Hungarian, and her accent was extremely thick, and it was just a fascinating accent, and it was exactly kind of the style I wanted for the voice of the character. Very Eastern European, rich, vibrant, and even coming from a very feminine place, can come across as well, still very intense and harsh, even at points. Very strong pronunciations of certain sounds, right? So I got her to read all the dialogue, and that was helpful to get Rhiannon in the zone. But Rhiannon, you said you didn't nail it, but I think you did, because I've had Hungarian people approach me at festivals saying that it's great representation. So
I mean, that's all you can ask for. Well, that's great. That's great news. Thanks,
Exactly.
Ben.
all these moments are so important, right? If you mess up one thing, it's something that can destroy the whole film, right? It takes you out of the time. If the accent isn't right, it takes you out of it. If the costumes don't come across as believable, it takes you out. If you're not using the right music, so you got to be for this type of thing.
And that's one of the things that we all raved about when you sent in the first time to the festival. It was like, it is a bit of a period piece, so of course you have to nail that, because otherwise people are going to jump all over you. It's also a little bit of a horror piece, so it's like the horror audience, you mess about with them, mate, then they're coming after you. So you've got to nail that aspect. When you were making sure you got this right, how important was it to you to get those aspects right?
Oh, well, I was living and breathing it every day, right? Because I knew, I self-funded it. So if I blew it on one end, it'd be a complete waste, right? So I had, it was incredibly important. So I just, if I had to go without sleep some nights, I went without sleep. And if I had to, do 90-hour work weeks, I did that. And, just did everything I could to make sure it succeeded, right? Because it's my whole life into it. So, it did pretty good. I mean, this is a couple of years later, and look, we're having a laugh, and we got a bit of money for the next film, and it's going pretty good, right?
It was wild to witness, just, I have to say, watching, like, how specific, and like, as he said, not sleeping, sort of like all consuming. And I, to sit back and watch that, and, if it had to be just right, always, always. And it was.
Yeah, without being an insane person, right? You gotta. There's also a line. There's also a line where you're dealing with people all day, right?
Yes.
So you don't want to work people too hard. And I would never ask anything from anyone that I wouldn't do personally. So that was kind of how we went through things.
That's cool, man. And the reason it's being so well received, obviously, is I've said to one of the other judges that it's a 20-minute short, but there's a number of shots that we've had in the festivals where there's a few cracks. Like you see a few elements that aren't quite right, but New Woman is like a perfect 20 minutes, if you know what I mean. Like, the cinematography is fantastic, the score's fantastic, the performances are fantastic. you could take a shot from this short movie and frame it and put it up on your wall. Just everything just looks amazing. And I think that's why it is doing so well. That's obviously why it's doing so well. So apart from the Romford festivals and everything, why don't you give us a little update on what the movie's been doing over the last year and where it's been shown and how people are taking to it?
Well, everything was cut short there with the pandemic, so we lost about
Yeah.
6 months of festivals, and I wasn't overly interested in doing the online thing because I envisioned the film for a big screen. So
Yeah.
that's the way people need to see it, right? It doesn't translate on a phone or a laptop the same way.
No.
It's just not the same, right? And you need the big sound. We mastered it in surround sound, and I went out of my way to make sure that happened, right, for the cinematic experience. So, we had several screenings in Toronto, which were the only ones I was able to go in person outside of the Atlantic Film Festival in Halifax, which me and Rhiannon went to, which was so fun. And then we had an incredible run in the States. Like we played all over in Hollywood, California. We won some awards in Atlanta. So I think we're up to something like 15 awards garnered now, and another 10 nominations on top of that. And we played in almost, I think it was like 36 festivals, something like that. So it's been so cool because wherever it is in the world, it's kind of irrelevant. We're getting the same reaction from, Australia. We won an award in Australia. We had a premiere in Australia a few weeks ago. Asia really took to it. So South America loved it. So that is like just the best feeling in the world, right? That it can translate to other places. And, I had to put some subtitles in there, for some of the screenings and stuff, which is so cool, right?
That is awesome. That is awesome. And with all the love that it's picking up, when are you planning on maybe possibly getting the team back together for a New Woman 2 short or possibly even a feature? Don't call it New Woman 2, though. That would be terrible.
We call it New Woman 2, Old Woman.
Right.
But are there any intentions of getting the band back together and like I say, maybe going for a feature?
Absolutely. I've written 2 parts for Rhiannon already. The thing is, this is the boring point of producing, where we're just gathering the money and trying to figure out how to get these things off the ground. In terms of me continuing to self-fund everything purely, doesn't really make sense for the long run. So we're looking at getting money together for these next projects. So the pandemic was kind of tough because it slowed everything down, brought everything to a halt. But I talk to Rhiannon regularly, saying how much I can't wait to work together, because if it isn't broken, don't fix it. So like I absolutely want to see how we can challenge ourselves in other genres and other areas. So absolutely, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. I'm planning on shooting a film next summer. That's a bit of a more masculine thing. It's 2 male actors. But my other 2 projects I wrote for Rhiannon, I'm hoping to do right after. So it's a little bit of a waiting game to get the money together, but it's definitely going to happen because anything I envision ends up coming true, and I have a very strong vision for some of these.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Rhiannon, would you return to that role specifically, or would you just return to anything Ben throws your way?
Well, probably the latter, but yeah, I would certainly revisit that character. And yeah, it would be very exciting to sort of head in new directions together as well. But I'm open to either, and obviously have all my fingers and toes crossed for them.
Awesome. One of the questions that I've been asking people recently, because obviously it's been a bit of a globally, it's been a bit of a time for everyone. So it's always nice to get some nice feedback and hear some positive things. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask is, what is the best thing or the thing that you guys have heard about New Woman that has really just made your day that day, or cheered you up, or just been the best thing that's happened?
Well, I
You wanna
mean,
go first, Rhiannon? Or?
well, I mean, honestly, a lot of the things that you said are very flattering. I've heard so many beautiful things
try.
about, and you, I feel my face is so hot, but just how it's traveled and how it's been received, and the amount of people it's reached. Ben will text me and say, we're showing here, and to me, I'm just, I haven't really moved. We went to Atlantic together, but just the thought of it being seen in that sort of with those numbers is it's amazing.
And for me, I got into this business because I wanted to connect with people. So when I'm able to be there in person and chat with people who've seen the film on the big screen afterwards, no matter what they say, if they have any interest in it at all, it's just so amazing. And then, for people to pick up on really small nuances, and things that I put in there, just little nuggets, like maybe some history nerd will pick that up, but probably not. It's probably just me. But I've had people come up and mention certain things, right, where I'm just like, oh, that's amazing. And, it was just, it's an amazing experience to make something and put your heart into it. And that's why I'm doing it. And, yourselves over there in Romford, right? It's just like, man, I'd love to come over and have a pint and have a chat in person, right? It's just so cool when people from around the world are loving our work. It's just the best feeling in the world. So, yeah, it's great.
My father-in-law is from Essex, so he's particularly excited with this Romford Festival.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, they're having a bit of a time of it this weekend with the rain, the storms, and everything. They've got a mini tornado happening down there, but it's pretty cool though anyway. But so is there an intention, when obviously people are starting to head back to the cinema, is there an intention, Ben, to sort of to keep it running a bit longer and get it onto more screens so that you can get people to see it properly physically?
Well, definitely. I mean, I don't want to just sit on accolades or things I did before. I'm in a completely different place. But the more people that see it, the better. And the fact that it's still going strong 2 years later without really too much work on my end now, it's people approaching me because enough people have seen it and word of mouth has spread. So, I mean, the more people that see it, the better. We actually had a really amazing opportunity. We sold it in LA when I was there to be a part of a anthology. So we're still waiting for that to happen once things kind of wake up. So that'll be the biggest way to get it across. And then after that, I know it's a short film. It may sound ridiculous, but I'd like to have hard copies of it to share with people. And I just want everyone to see it, right? At the end of the day, it's also a business, and you have to, handle that side of it as well. But we just want everyone to see it. I would love for everyone to see it.
On that, you quickly mentioned that your head is sort of moving into other areas and other spaces a little bit. Last time we spoke, you really piqued my interest with a sci-fi action project that you were working on. Any news with this? Is there anything you can tell me about? Because you said sci-fi and my ears pricked up. So,
yeah, well, that was the thing I just mentioned that we're planning on doing next summer. We got a third of the budget now, so I've been grinding really hard to put it together. And it's, again, like a massive undertaking, huge concept. And it's also a proof of concept for a feature. So
nice.
This is an idea in a world I've been playing with since the beginning. I actually wrote the feature. That was the first thing I did when I decided I wanted to get in filmmaking, and different stories have kind of branched out from that. So this is the first foray into that world, and there's a lot of things I want to talk about, a lot of themes about addiction and racism and immigration and different things that I want to kind of talk about, but I also want to express these themes in a little bit of a different way. So if you see a science fiction action film, those probably aren't the themes you're thinking about when you're getting into it. So I want it to feel kind of as original as humanly possible. Camera stint on a TV show right now until the 15th of July, and then I'm getting right into location scouting. And we have the actor for it, and it's just steps. The steps are happening, and we're going to shoot next year. And I've decided I'm doing it no matter what. So, yeah, nothing's going to stop me.
And by the way, if you think the horror fans are bad, wait till those sci-fi nerds come at you.
Well, I'm the biggest sci-fi nerd in the world, right? So I was a bit scared with horror because I'm actually not a massive horror guy. Like I love the gothic stuff and the kind of historical stuff. But in terms of like slashers and stuff, it's not the type of thing I thought I would do first. So I was pretty nervous from that end. I've seen every science fiction movie there is. I think it's an amazing genre. There's so much you can do and say, and
Yes.
Yeah, I just can't wait to get into that. I'm also really looking forward to doing the practical stunts and doing all the practical action sequences, because that's a whole other world, right?
So Rhiannon, I watched a trailer a couple of days ago once I knew that you guys were going to be coming on to speak to me for Little Orphans, which looked pretty badass. Quite a nice little family drama to dive into, I guess. So what can you tell us about this and any other projects that you're going to be working on?
Yeah, Little Orphans was incredible for me to be a part of and make, because the writer has been a close friend of mine for ages, and then it's about three sisters essentially and their family, and all the struggles that come with coming home and addressing things from the past. But the three of us have been close friends for forever and have also been working on this film forever. And that's Emily Bridger, who is the writer, and Martha Bernard and Emily acts in it as well. And we had an incredible crew there, and it was so exciting to watch that come to life. It was a very sort of personal film and close. Yeah, I mean, it came out at a sort of a tough time, obviously, because of, with the pandemic, and we didn't get to do much in person together, where we had all these, fantasies about traveling and seeing it together. But the response from Little Orphans and how that's been doing as well is just, pretty special. But it's on demand now to watch.
I'm definitely going to be as well, because it's one of those ones that even just as soon as the trailer started, I was kind of like, yeah, this looks like something I would watch.
Yeah,
and the wife was watching it with me, the trailer, and she kind of like sat there and goes, "You can't watch that. You can't watch that. You will just bubble. You will be crying all the way through." She's like, "You know what you're like? You cannot watch that film."
Well, that's good. I cry too, still watching it. Yeah, good. We sit and bubble and watch it. Thank you.
So,
yeah.
And is there anything else apart from just waiting for Ben to give you the call, or is there anything else you're working on?
Yeah. Well, there's a film that we're hoping to shoot this fall in Nova Scotia, and that's sort of been on board for a little while as well, just sort of waiting for the right time. But hopefully that will go ahead now. It's Leah Johnston as the writer, and I very much look forward to that. I've got a couple of jobs narrating audiobooks and things, which is new for me, and quite an experience. And things with Ben, and we've been writing a show, Emily and a couple of friends and I as well. That's sort of been in the process, and sort of a slow process as well, but hopefully we'll see something come of that fairly soon. And she's the same writer from Little Orphans, Emily. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, anything that comes across the screens with you, and I am absolutely going to be checking out, because you put in a hell of a performance in You Woman in there, and Ben definitely cast the right lady for that performance and that role. And it's just a perfect little shot, is what I keep saying. Like, people are like, "Tell me a little bit more about it," and I'm like, it just is. Just watch it. Which isn't the best description you can give someone, but
that's pretty appealing. And thank you very much, and thank you to the festival. I mean, it's incredible. I'm so happy for everybody that worked on this film, and so happy to be a part of what you're doing there. Congratulations on the festival and on the new horror element. Yeah, that's fantastic. And yeah, very exciting.
And for Ben, I'm trying to convince Spencer that we should be doing a sci-fi festival as of next year as well, but he's not committing to it.
I'll work on them.
Well,
But
I think that's a great idea, and I would love to screen that film over there and come over in person finally, right? Because I feel like you and Spencer and Peter and all the lads, I feel like I know you guys now, even though I've only seen you on screens. So it's just yeah.
And I do have one last question before we wrap this out that I've basically stolen it from Spencer, because I've been doing these interviews and these chats with people, usually with another member of the panel, but obviously they are currently doing the normal festival just now down there. So I'm rocking it by myself, but I feel like I'm rocking it pretty well. I am the most important, so... But one question that Spencer has taken a liking or a shine to asking is the whole desert island question. And because there's two of you, we're going to limit it to 3, which makes it even harder. But you're on a desert island and you've got 3 movies that you can watch for the rest of time. What 3 movies would you guys be choosing?
Wow.
I know.
Oh boy.
I know for a fact that Lawrence of Arabia has to be there. I love that film.
Nice.
I would also probably say that Michael Mann's Heat.
Oh, very nice.
Probably also be there. I always say if I have to choose a favorite film, they're kind of a tie. Just based on when I saw them at like very formative periods in my life, and like I remember seeing Heat for the first time, and I was just like, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. So. But I might need a little bit of time to think on the third. You got any ideas yourself, Rhiannon? Probably Ace Ventura.
Oh yes, Pet Detective number 1. I actually have to bail on this question. I can't. I'm the most.
No. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, I am, because Ben is the man for this. I'm gonna let him take it. Oh my god, my brain is going cloudy already. So I'm gonna let Ben do this one. And if I think of them, I will write them to you. You can do your third now, Ben, while I'm rambling and backing out.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you a few more. It can't be 3.
Okay.
You've heard.
Well, you normally get 5. So if Rhiannon's bailing, you can have 5.
There you go.
I got to put a Western in there. So I feel like probably a tie between Unforgiven and maybe The Wild Bunch, Sam Peckinpah. And if you get some science fiction in there, probably the final cut of Blade Runner, and then a tie between 2001 and the Russian Solaris, Tarkovsky's Solaris. I could go on for days, so you don't want to go down this rabbit hole.
That's why you only get 5.
Yeah.
You don't need me then. Here you go. Wow.
And when you say the final cut of Blade Runner, which one do you mean? Because I mean, he's had about 20 different final cuts.
Yeah, well, there was the director's cut that came out, and they removed the narration, and it became a whole other beast. And then the rest after that were kind of close to it. But that movie is just incredible, and I absolutely love the sequel too. I thought 2049 was absolutely incredible. But I just love that world. I'm stealing a little taste of that kind of world in my next thing, because I just love it so much. So that's big inspiration. Ridley Scott, obviously one of the great directors, and there's just so many movies. I realize my IMDb is like 6. I've seen 6,000 movies on that. And there's definitely more than that. So there's just so many great movies, right? And I'm still discovering just random stuff, right? So it's great. I'm obsessed. Total movie nerd.
If you haven't seen, I recently discovered, I think it was like the tail end of last year, a sci-fi movie called Primer. I'm going to guess you've seen it.
Oh, it's amazing. That movie is amazing.
I think I've watched it about 12 times just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and it's like a low-budget sleeper. Like, they didn't spend much money, but there's just so much depth and the science behind it. I just love that. Yeah, that was a big university film for me and a few of my friends.
There's like a whole wing on YouTube of people who like try to explain what Primer's about, and it just makes you even more confused about what Primer's about.
Yeah, it's the ultimate nerd film for sure.
Definitely.
Okay, that's
Like I
good.
say-
I'm gonna try.
Yeah,
And
you find it
any
interesting.
suggestions, send them.
Don't look at your phone once when you're watching it though, because you have got to be completely committed to it.
Understood. Perfect.
Right, guys, I am going to head off and I'm going to let you guys go. You've been absolutely fantastic. Rhiannon, I've so enjoyed having you on. Again, it's a performance that I've been with the festival for 2 years now, and your performance has been the standout of the last 2 years for me. I love your performance in New Women, and Ben, the movie is fantastic. You've created a 20-minute masterpiece, so it's great to have the chance to show it again this year for the Horror Festival. But before I let you go, why don't one of you tell people why they should check out New Women when they get a chance?
Well, it's going to be playing on Spadina in Toronto in September at the theater and cinema with the Toronto Film Festival of Time. And then we're also the Sacramento Horror Festival in November. And we also have a German premiere in Hanover at the Basta La Vista Film Festival. So, which is awesome. I love that. Yeah, and it's playing in a pub that has a cinema in it. So it's like the coolest thing ever, right? So those are the next three festivals, and hopefully now the anthology will come out. But you know, in the next year, I'm definitely going to release it just so more people can see it. So I'm still trying to work on how to do that. But if you're a fan of history, it's a great film just based on that. I'm a huge history nerd, so I really went out of my way to cram a lot of that stuff in there. So if you like history, check it out. If you like horror, classical horror, if you're into the old Universal horror films from the 30s and 40s, or even the Hammer films later in the 60s, it's got some of those vibes, which is cool. You know, if you're interested in seeing an absolutely captivating, striking, beautiful woman on screen, that's worth the admission alone there as well. You know, the music that Adam Foran put together, I think is like a really special composition, and its own, you know, worthy entrance into the film. And Troy Mara's cinematography and the stuff I storyboarded and, you know, the images we put together, I think is worth the admission too. So there's lots of good stuff in there, and there's a lot jammed into 20 minutes. And if you want to get a taste of how seriously I take this stuff, then that's a great entrance point. And you know, the long form stuff is going to be coming soon, so there'll be lots more of this stuff for people to check out. And you know, Rhiannon, I assume, is going to be one of the, you know, big leading ladies in the coming years in the world. So keep an eye on everything she's doing, because she's about to take off. So get prepared for that.
Thank you both. My gosh, and you as well. So.
I do love how, like, when we get the director and his leading lady or leading man or whoever, it's just a lot of thank you so much. I love it. I love that dynamic. It always just, you know what though, because like it's one of the reasons that I like doing this, and I like doing this with guys coming up and guys kind of making their way, is because you get a real sense of who they are. But you get a real sense with you guys, like there's definitely been a huge collaboration there between everyone. You've created a fantastic short, so I can't wait to see what you come up with next. And Ben will keep talking, and Rhiannon, I hope to be speaking to you about another big movie coming down the line shortly.
I would love that.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Really, a lot of kind words, and you're
anytime,
a great guy. Thank you so much.
When I find something I like, I'll let people know. Right, guys, so I am going to let you go now because I'm told that my tea is currently ready.
Okay, brother, take care of yourself now.
So again, massive, huge thank you to Benjamin Noah and Rhiannon Morgan for coming on the show and just talking about the movie. I really enjoyed talking about New Women. It's one of those shots that last year when it came through was easily one of the strongest we had. And then at the Horror Festival this year, it was our inaugural Horror Festival. We didn't really know how it was going to go. We weren't expecting, you know, like the strong standard of movie that we got. We weren't really expecting it. It was a great first year, and of course having New Women there elevated it that little bit more. So it was fantastic. We had a fantastic first festival, and long may that continue going forward. Nerdly will absolutely be there next year as well. We will absolutely be covering the festival and doing everything we can with those guys. We covered the main festival this weekend. I've got lots and lots of interviews coming up. I've already lined all these bad boys up for when the event is over. It's still going on right now. There is the awards night on Monday night. This might not go out till after that, but if it does, awesome. I hope your movies did well, and I hope you all won the awards you wanted to win. And if you didn't, next time, grease my palm with silver. I am open to bribes. Didn't say that all loud though, right? So yeah, I am going to go. But again, like I always say at the start of the episodes, and like I like to remind you at the end of the episodes, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and ding that bell. I would love all of that, because if you hit the like, it sends us up the algorithm. If you hit the subscribe, it means you are part of the team. You're part of Nerdly Out Loud. You're part of Nerdly UK. And who doesn't want to be the part of that? Like, you get to be friends with me, I guess. That's who doesn't want that? And then, of course, if you hit that notification bell right at the end, it will give you all of these lovely notifications every time we drop a review, an interview, or anything like that. So yeah, I am going to leave now. I'm going to let you all get on with your day. It's been Nerdly Out Loud.